Congressman Ben Cline joins us now. He's a Republican representing Virginia's 6th Congressional District. He's also a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and he's here on the phone. Hello, Congressman. Good to have you with us.
Vince, great to be with you.
It's an amazing day in America. But we're looking back at this meeting yesterday between Joe Biden and the Chinese Communist Party's Xi Jinping. What do you make of that meeting, and are you concerned that Joe Biden gave away the store?
Well, we're very concerned that he's been giving away the store for years, and the investigations into his receipt of funds from Chinese nationals, among others, is something that we're looking into. But for the meeting itself, he talked a lot of talk, but for all of the hue and cry, there really wasn't much that resulted. Agreeing to try and reduce the amount of fentanyl that China sends to the United States. I mean, that's ridiculous. They are killing Americans left and right, and they're sending it through Mexico. So
yes.
if they say they're going to reduce the amount they're sending to the United States directly, well, that just means they're going to achieve their goals another way.
Right. And don't you think if Joe Biden was serious about that he would actually secure the border?
Exactly. And we know that the Biden border crisis keeps getting worse. It continues to create more drug traffic, more sex traffic, human trafficking, more crime in each community. Every district in the Congress is now a border district. It's not just the ones in Texas, but they are dealing with not just hundreds of thousands, but millions of people coming across the border. The entire population of Virginia, 8 million illegals during the Biden administration. That's the entire population of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that's just absurd.
And that's just what we know about. Congressman Ben Cline, among the issues that apparently were discussed yesterday, the climate and panda diplomacy. If it were a Republican president or anybody but Joe Biden, what would the priorities be if you were dealing with China?
Well, the theft by China of U.S. technology, of U.S. Intellectual property, the economic abuse that China continues to heap on the United States, the disadvantage that they're putting our businesses, our inventors, our workers, and Joe Biden just seemed to gloss over a lot of what they have been doing these many years.
Did you think it was weird? Biden was asked yesterday whether or not he stands by his remark that Xi Jinping is a dictator. He kind of waffled on the answer. I'm going to play the answer so people can hear it. He says he is, and then he tried to soften it up a bit, I guess.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that we used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
Yeah,
anyway.
He is. He runs a communist country. It's based on a form of government totally different than ours, said Biden. I noticed, Congressman Cline, that right in the front seats was Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. He cringed when Biden said dictator, and he started wringing his hands, literally wringing his hands, that Biden was speaking this way. What do you make of this craziness?
Well, Blinken is the perfect caricature of Biden diplomacy. It's hand-wringing, it's cringing, it's we don't want to offend anybody, even dictators who are, the definition of a dictator is somebody who controls the politics of your country, a one-party system where your enemies are jailed, killed, their families killed, their businesses absorbed by the one-party state, and there's only one authority, and it's him. And that's the dictator. That's what Biden should have said when asked if he's a dictator. Just should have laid it out there and said, and quite frankly, the United States, just as it doesn't deal with those who take hostages like Hamas has done over in Israel, we don't kowtow to dictators either.
We were playing audio earlier in the show, Congressman, of young people on TikTok expressing sudden admiration for Osama bin Laden, if you can believe it. They read his manifesto declaring why it was worth attacking America, and they're reading it approvingly. But these young people who are reading all of this and then sharing these videos, this is all being done on TikTok, the Chinese-controlled app. TikTok. Are you concerned about the Chinese influence operations playing out in the United States?
We should be very concerned, and we know that China has used TikTok to push ideas, to push themes of racial strife, of trying to sow dissension within the United States, to try and pit Americans against Americans. They've been doing that for years. And the young people, if told about a psyop being run by some foreign government that they're falling prey to, most young people today are those types of cynics who wouldn't let that kind of abuse happen to them knowingly, but instead they're happily participating because it's on their phones and in their hands, and we've got to do more to educate young people about the dangers of TikTok.
That's for sure. Congressman Cline, I want to ask you about a piece of legislation you just introduced recently aimed at protecting America from foreign espionage. What can be done to stop spying, in particular by countries like China?
Well, China readily engages the United States, the business community, steals our intellectual property, takes it back to China, duplicates it, then patents it in China, and then sues those who seek to compete against China, against the copy. And so all the time we are trying to combat that. We have closed Chinese consulates in Texas because of the spying that was going on there, expelling diplomats who engage in spying. But our laws allow them to turn right around and apply for visas again. And so the bill I introduced is pretty simple. It just says that once you're out, and you can't come back and ask to come back in again to apply for visas or special entry access to this country. It just makes common sense. It's just common sense. If you're stealing from America, don't expect to come here once you get kicked out.
Yesterday, a bunch of American CEOs gave Xi Jinping a big standing ovation at an event in California, and I thought that was insane. Isn't it kind of embarrassing that the same CEOs who have all of their intellectual property being stolen from them by China are still kowtowing to the country's leader?
Well, it is, and we need that kind of economic America first ideology, that American nationalist sentiment among our CEOs. We haven't had it for years and years, but that patriotism is necessary to make a great country. You don't have a great country without a great economy, without a strong economy, and you don't have a strong economy without strong inventors and business owners who love their country. And so we need more people who are standing up for America and not trying to have it both ways.
Before we let you go, Congressman, given that you're a congressman from Virginia, the FBI has been trying for some time to come up with a decision on where the headquarters is going to be. The Biden administration has their new headquarters. First of all, as if they deserve a new headquarters. Have they been especially well behaved for us to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on them? But apparently they chose Greenbelt. The General Services Administration did. And now you're seeing Christopher Wray is alleging there may have been corruption in the process of choosing Maryland over Virginia. What do you think of this whole thing?
Well, there's no surprise there. This administration is full of bureaucrats who weaponize the rules of the road to benefit them or their side. And so to see that it's happening in the GSA, it shouldn't shock or surprise anyone, least of all Jerry Connolly or Don Beyer, someone up in Northern Virginia who's right in the thick of the bureaucracy. But, the FBI doesn't deserve to have a new headquarters, period. We voted on and passed amendments to the legislation, the appropriations bills to prohibit the use of additional funds to build it. The problem is they've been banking a lot of money over the years for this very building, and there have been amendments to try and prevent them from using that money as well. Unfortunately, a few Republicans sided with the Democrats to defeat those amendments, and so they still can use that pot of money and still can go along and plan to build this building wherever it is in Virginia or Maryland. I think there are too many bureaucracies inside the Beltway. We need to start shipping them out to other parts of the country. I think the EPA would do well down in New Orleans. I think that the Department of Agriculture would do well in the Rust Belt or in the Ag Belt in Kansas, somewhere out there, and the Department of Education. We should try Alabama or
nowhere.
In
that particular agency could disappear.
Love to eliminate the Department of Education. That's exactly right. We should just do away with them altogether.
All right. Well, once the FBI, is a good boy again, then maybe we can think about giving it a present. But I don't think a building is in order right now. Maybe a spanking. That's where we start with the FBI. Hey, Congressman Ben Cline, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today.